Thank you for taking the time to come and meet with me today. The last time we spoke, you raised some concerns about confidentiality, and I wanted to provide you with some clarification before you commit to proceeding with the mediation process.
I thank you for your time, and it's really very distressing, and I'm facing a very private issue which I wish to get to mediation, but my concern is about the confidentiality of what I would like to discuss. It's very private, it's distressing, and I would like it to be private without my family and friends, and the least my community, the people around, discussing what I'm going to get on the table. So confidentiality is something that I really want to understand more before I come forward with any of my issues.
Confidentiality is a foundational principle in mediation. In fact, in mediations, we have two layers of confidentiality. First, any documents, information, conversations that we have are confidential. The fact that you and the other party, you're coming to mediation, even that's confidential. And that's so that you all feel comfortable participating in this process. Then there's a second layer of confidentiality. When we're meeting like this in private, what I'd call a caucus, anything you share with me is kept confidential. Any background on the dispute, any suggestions of how to resolve the dispute, it's all confidential because I want you to feel comfortable during the process.
Okay, so speaking of the second layer that you just mentioned, can you help me understand more about it?
Sure. So the way that second layer works is the information you give me is kept confidential until you give me permission to share. And the reason for that is I want you to feel comfortable sharing information. I want you to feel comfortable to make proposals towards resolving your dispute. Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to understand the dispute and what's led you to this stage. And so if there's that layer of confidentiality, you can be confident when you're sharing this information with me.
Okay, so what if the opposite party, who is a part of the dispute, starts talking about this in public? How do you then take care of that part?
So at the beginning of the mediation process, I'll meet with both of you individually. I'll talk about the process, I'll set out the ground rules, I'll highlight confidentiality, I'll explain how I will keep everything confidential, and I'd expect you both also keep everything confidential. Of course, you can share it with your representatives, but that would be the extent of it.
Okay, so assuming that if mediation fails and this dispute goes to court, what happens then?
So I'm hoping that it doesn't fail and that I'm able to assist you in achieving a resolution. But I want to let you know that in mediation we have this concept of without prejudice. What that means is any offers that you might make in mediation, they stay in mediation. And the courts respect mediation. They will never ask you to divulge what came out of a mediation. And so any offers that are made here, until and unless they're put in a signed agreement, they're without prejudice and they don't carry forward outside the mediation.
Okay, that means I can safely say that there is an assurance that any dispute that I get on the table would be really confidential and nothing would go out and be discussed with the others, right?
Absolutely. What I wanted to tell you also today is that before I became a mediator, I went through extensive training, and a portion of that training dealt with the issue of confidentiality and why it's so important that what happens in a mediation remains confidential.
Okay, thank you. This has really got to me a sense of understanding that it would be okay for me to get my disputes resolved through mediation, and I really thank you for explaining to me the importance and the role of confidentiality in mediation, and I also appreciate your commitment as a mediator towards confidentiality. So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. I look forward to working with you to resolve this dispute.